I'd like to tell you that I did all of those moves, but you know better than that. But it was a challenge to really think about how you can stretch your body and how in the midst of that kind of discipline you can find a place of peace and calm even in the midst of the craziness of the world. I think it would be nice to think that life could be roped off and compartmentalized in a way that darkness in our life never bled over into the light of our life. I think sometimes we have the wrong impression that just because we're Christian, into our life, no sorrow or pain should come, or at least not a lot of it. But we know that's not the way that life works. Rather, I think life with reflection is much more like the climber on the Cornice Traverse of Everest, who works overtime to keep his or her balance between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. And I think that life is maybe more like the yoga student who takes that next big step, tries to conquer the slack line in search of a place of greater peace and quiet, even in the midst of life that is chaotic. In our world, we know that we can't separate issues out as neatly as we would like. Often laughter will give way to tears, and health may lead us to a place of sickness and eventually death. Gainful employment that some of us have had will find us standing in an unemployment line like many of us have been doing. Sin will commingle with grace. Faith may be compromised by doubt that we may have, or we may find that when we're in our places of deepest doubt and disbelief, that it may be the greatest door to faith. In my ministry, I've known some folks that because of their great disbelief and questions and doubt, they found a faith like they never knew they could have before. It is for some that their greatest tragedy, or at least what they think is their greatest tragedy, can become their greatest point of healing and hope and message and life and light for a new day to come. I think that light always needs some darkness to remind us what it means to be fully human. To be in touch with a neighbor is to understand that everyone suffers and everyone has pain, and we can help each other in and through that. We can live in the light and bask in the light and give witness to the light, especially as we have come out of dark places. I think of Trina right now with her mom. I remember when I was going through the time of my dad's death, dark. But in the midst of that pain, in the midst of people gathering around you in those difficult spots, God's light can shine again, and there can be a new dawn and a new horizon. As the praise team leads us in some quiet reflection, I want you just to close your eyes for the next few minutes. And I want you to think about maybe a dark place in your life right now. Maybe a place where you're hurting deeply. A place that doesn't make sense to you, or a place that you know needs healing, needs some kind of resolution. Think about the place where light needs most to shine in and on you. And I want you to ask yourself this question. What would happen if, rather than asking God to remove the darkness from us, that we ask Him to keep us there long enough, to illumine that darkness long enough, that we could see our pain for what it is and for what it isn't? And then instead of being a cross for us to bear, it may be the greatest gift and the greatest faith lesson that He intends to teach us. Take some time to think about that, to pray about that. Over Christmas, I had a friend who visited here in June. Keep with your eyes closed to listen. She visited here in June. She had just been given a diagnosis of lung cancer, had never smoked in her life. She called me over Christmas and asked if I could help at her funeral. But in the midst of it, she had me in stitches laughing about some of the fun times that we had shared in life. I want us to think about those who have lost their jobs, and in much cases, jobs that are way too demanding. And though they may miss the income, they don't miss the stress. And with great joy, they look forward to a job that may allow them to spend more time with their family. I think about those who've been unable to conceive, who've gone on to have a miscarriage or a stillborn, but they keep trying until they have a healthy child, or until they adopt one, or until they make peace with not having a child. I think about some of you, and I watch you as you deal with your aging parents, many who are dealing with Alzheimer's, and you pray every day that you don't pull your hair out or theirs. And God's light shines in and through you even in the midst of that. I think of people in my own life, a friend who had a drunk driver kill both of her children in a car accident. And I watched her, as the woman was in a jail cell, offer a hand of forgiveness. And I think about those who are depressed or addicted, who say, I can't do this anymore on my own, and they seek a new way to experience life and to participate fully in it. And all of these people, each time they choose life in the midst of darkness and despair, for me, dawn cracks one more time, and God's glorious light shines through. The road may still be dark and rough at times, but we know ultimately that it is illumined by an eternal flame that will eventually light the way home. And I say, thanks be to God, the lamp unto our feet, the light unto our path.